the work is done, when the work is validated, the ones that we consider to be of the right quality, on an increasing basis, NIPC will put it on its website and make the information public so that Nigerians can take advantage of it. We didn't do in 2017, as well as we could, based on our limited resources, which Ben Akabuze has tried to help us with for 2018, fingers crossed. But please note, we are not a revenue-generating agency. We provide a public good. The revenue man is sitting next to you. But in 2018, the things we plan to do are not much different from what we did in 2017. It's really just to continue on that same trajectory. And I'll pick a few things to mention to you. Pioneer status incentive has been through some reforms. It was placed on an administrative suspension for almost 2 years. The suspension has been lifted. We're processing applications, but I can tell you for nothing, it's an administrative nightmare, to process. It's partly based on, the reality of the law that we deal with. The law that created Pioneer Status, IDITRA, is a 1971 act. So there's some provisions that it has that, requires things to happen in a particular way. And without changing the law, there's only so much you can do. But we think there's a lot more that we can do than has been done already. So we're working with UNCTAD to develop an e-business platform that will simplify the process and take a lot of it online. So if you apply, you can actually tell, what stage your process is. This is a low hurdle law. I don't think this is a high bar. This is a low hurdle. Obviously, the bilateral investment treaties that we're reviewing, we need to continue that work. But based on all of the insight that we have, we think it is important to articulate a foreign direct investment strategy that will inform, which countries we focus our limited resources on trying to get investments from. We realize, we need even more insight on the investment opportunities that exist in Nigeria. When I look at the NIPC Act, and I like to draw my own inspiration from that act, amongst other things, NIPC should be giving information on the investment opportunities that exist in Nigeria. So we developed, if you go to the next slide. Oh, no, sorry, you're where? So we've just developed a template for profiling investment opportunities. We hope to launch this next week. What we'll do, and we've engaged all the state investment promotion agencies will profile on the same basis. The cover will be different from this because it will bear their logo. But the data that is being collected, the format will be exactly the same. It'll be a PDF form that you can complete and send back to us, or it'll be an online form that you can fill and just press submit. But with that, we'll build a database of the investment opportunities that exist across Nigeria. With the limited data that we gather now, I'll show you some of the insights that we draw from it. But when we finish this profiling exercise, I believe it'll be incredibly powerful. It'll give us a sense by potential economic impact, by sector, by state, the investment opportunities that exist in Nigeria to help bridge the gap from talking to investors about agriculture, solid minerals, to more tangible things that they can actually invest in. Then, as I mentioned, the public sector is not, the best to leave your faith in the context of investment promotion in Nigeria. So we want to start an investment promotion club that will see the public sector and the private sector, working together. In the same way we worked brilliantly with FIRS to produce that compendium, we want to work brilliantly with the private sector. We want to crowd in the private sector in this business of facilitating and promoting investments. Some investors, some service providers, corporate finance, legal, tax, and strategy consulting, economists, if you like, investors will not take a decision without speaking to them first. So those ones I consider professional investment advisors. But there are also professional service providers without whom investors cannot take root. So everything from real estate advisory to executive search, they're the ones that help investors after they've made the decision to then find the skills that they need. So the Investment Promotion Club will allow us to take the intellectual capital on the private sector side of the divide with infinitely the information that exists on the government side. Nobody should deceive themselves. In this partnership between private and public, the information balance is by far on the government side. It's just that most government agencies don't appreciate the value of that information and don't treat it with the respect that it deserves. But the intellectual capital that is required to use that information for the purpose that it is possible to use it for sits on the private sector side. So this is our own way of doing it. We have an intelligence newsletter that goes out 6 days a week. And from that intelligence newsletter, and it is not by any means exhaustive or complete, but from that newsletter we get a sense of investment announcements that are being made across Nigeria. On a monthly basis, we produce a document like this. We haven't made it public yet. I mean, we use it in presentations and the like because we wanted to make sure that we got it right first. I think we're at a stage now where we've got it right. So from February, we'll give out for January, we'll make this information public about the investment announcements for the month. I said I'll share with you the insight that we get from the little data that we gather. If you go to the next slide, what we saw from the investment announcements that were made in 2017, please, this is not exhaustive. I'm not saying this is everything that was made, all the announcements that were made in Nigeria. That's why we quote the source as NIPC Intelligence Newsletter. So this is just what we were able to track in our newsletter. But it suggests that about $66.4 billion of investment announcements were made in 2017 in 112 projects across 27 states and the FCT. And we have the information by sector. If you go to the next slide, we have the information by country, we have the information by state. In fact, I can give you line by line. On the next slide, we show the top 10, the 10 largest announcements that were made.
Yewande Sadikude, the Chief Executive Officer at Nigeria Investment Promotion Commission. Let's come back to you after the break, and we'll have a bit more of that conversation around startups and the ICT from the Silicon Valley.